Well, hi, everybody. Greetings from Toronto, where it's pretty cold and snowy. And I hope that wherever you are warm and safe and dry and have all the things that you need, including some good books and maybe a drink. Tonight, I'm so excited to have Sonya Lalli on to talk about her beautiful book, Serena Singh Flips the Script. And this is one of those books that um, I will hold up to people who want to say, oh, those are, the cartoon covers, the rom-com women's fiction, they're so fluffy. And these are the books that this is a book I will hold up and say, this book is really going to surprise you. And if you've read it and you're here, say hello. Please ask some questions if you have some. And if you haven't read it, this one is a really good one. I highly recommend it. If you like your rom-coms with a little bit of heartbreak in it, this one is for you. So I'm going to really quickly read the back cover copy because my mom likes it when I do that. So, and this is a really beautiful book about motherhood too, like about how much we know our mothers and how much our mothers actually know us. Like there is a lot to talk about. But first, the back cover copy. Serena Singh is tired of everyone telling her what she should want, and she is ready to prove to her mother, her sister, and the aunties in her community that a woman does not need domestic bliss to have a happy life. Things are going according to plan for Serena. She's smart, confident, and just got a kick-ass new job at a top advertising firm in Washington, D.C. Even before her younger sister gets married in a big traditional wedding, Serena knows her own dreams don't include marriage or children. But with her mother constantly encouraging her to be more like her sister, Serena can't understand why her parents refuse to recognize that she and her sister want completely different experiences out of life. A new friendship with her coworker Ainsley comes as a breath of fresh air, challenging Serena's long-held beliefs about the importance of self-reliance. She's been so focused on career success that she's let all of her hobbies and close relationships fall by the wayside. As Serena reconnects with her family and friends, including her ex-boyfriend, she learns letting people in can make her happier than standing all on her own. So let's bring in Sonya. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And hello, Della and B from Kansas. I hope you guys have heat. I hope you're not under too much snow. I have so much to talk about with this book, and I have made for everybody here. I have a lot because it is one of those books that you look at the cover, and the cover perfectly encapsulates a good 60% of that book. You've got Serena is trying to make friends. She ends up at a sex club. She gets catfished by an 18-year-old. There's a really funny couple of pages about a zit. There are very funny parts about this, but there is a gut punch of heartache as well. And so I guess my first question to you is, how do you visualize this book when you're going in? Does the heartache, does this like deep thread of heartache come along with the comedy, or is it comedy first and then heartache? How does it work in your head?
Well, for each of my books, it's been different. For Serena Singh Flipped the Script, what I really started out, the whole relationship with Ainsley was really how I started thinking of the book. So I had just moved to Toronto like 3-4 years ago, and I was, almost 30, and I didn't have really any friends in the city. And I started grappling with the fact that, if I want to make friends in a new city, because everyone is like and 4 hours away or a different continent away, I need to actually put myself out there. It was kind of like dating. And from there, I kind of got this idea that, okay, I'm going to write a romantic comedy, but I'm going to switch all of the notes that we hit in romantic comedies with her platonic relationship with finding a new best friend, and that's Ainsley. So that's really how I started thinking about it. And then all the other stuff came from just that thread of the story, I guess.
It does read that way. And so when you moved to Toronto, did you have to, did you end up I forget the app that you can
Bumble BFF. I did try Bumble BFF. Yeah. It was really weird. And I did try meetups, and I went to book clubs. I did not go to a sex club. But I hear there is one in Toronto, so that's kind of how I got the idea. And yeah, it was was pretty hard. I had a few people there, but I was so used to like moving somewhere or starting something new and having sort of like a ready set group of people, whether it's a job or college or something. So yeah.
One of the things that I really enjoyed about the book is this thread of intimacy, right? Like about, so she sort of like casually and super easily falls into a relationship with a guy. She has this very close-knit family, but it's almost like a working title for this book could be Serena breaks up with everybody.
Totally.
She ends up breaking up. I mean, she breaks up with her sister. She breaks up with, I don't want to make too many spoilers, but there are men that she breaks up with. There are friends she breaks up with. Was that all part of the rom-com script too, or did you have to feed in the family stuff separately?
No, once I got a sense of Serena's character, the family and her, I didn't think about it that before, but her breaking up just sort of came with it, because in my community, I think this is true for women, a lot of women across the board, but particularly in my community, there's a lot of value placed for women on whether they're married and whether they have children. And even though that's something like, these conventional choices are great if people want to make them. I personally have made some and plan to make some more when I'm older. But I just was grappling with this expectation that women have to be married and have children to have a happy ever after. And so that kind of feeling came later, and all of her breakups kind of like a result of Serena rethinking why she is the way she is and why she does things. Because you read the book, like her choices and her feelings about it have sort of been a reaction to seeing inequality in her own household. Mm-hmm. And so as Serena gets older and she meets Ainsley and she kind of realizes, just because I don't like some things about how my family is and about my culture and community, it doesn't mean that I need to reject everything that's sort of positive and sort of traditional.
Yeah, she did have a really beautiful, I felt, reckoning with some of the traditions, like, I mean, in particular for her around cooking. It is very refreshing. I write a lot of romance novels. It's very refreshing to have a character who at the beginning of the novel is like, I'm not going to have kids. I'm not. And that woman falls in love with kids and hugs them and loves the way that they smell and wants to buy them onesies. And then she hands the baby off and is able to say, I still don't want kids. And it almost felt like, and Ainsley accepts that, like Ainsley as her friend. I think she once makes one joke about baby fever, but I felt like you had to keep reminding the reader, like as readers, particularly of women's fiction and romance, we're always expecting that change of heart. Mm-hmm. Because of those deeply seated.
Yeah, and it was important that she didn't change her mind. She does change her mind on whether she's willing to be vulnerable enough for romantic love. She's always sort of dated guys who she can keep at arm's length. It's just for fun, it's for companionship, it's for a good time, but she never somebody like her ex-boyfriend where she could actually started to feel herself becoming even codependent. But yeah, she does not change her mind about having children. And I think that's very important because particularly women, some of the women I know, my age, older, younger, they're choosing not to have children. And you know what? They're living really awesome lives and they have no regrets about it. I think that there is a sense, even from, all across generations, that if a woman doesn't have children, it's a choice by default. And it's not a choice that she actively made, which is very, very true for a lot of women.
And I often feel like in contemporary fiction or even in historical fiction, they want to lump that decision in with not liking kids, right? Because that's easier to understand somehow. And you have this very complicated heroine, and there's a lot of complicated things happening in her life, but this isn't. She can love these kids and be excited about a future as perhaps a stepmom, perhaps not, whatever, and still, nope, not, don't want to do it. And I just thought, I feel like, and it's one of the things that I really loved in the book in general was that experience gets flattened in a lot of contemporary books. So that was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just thought it was, I thought it was important to talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
more and more people are making that decision.
So I was reading the book, and this is going to get writerly. Every once in a while on these chats, we really get writerly. And in writing, I'm sure that all of you have heard this from high school English: show, don't tell. And the depths that you show, don't tell in this book is that I have a feeling about a character, but I can't quite like put words to it until you do, which is perfect show, don't tell. So Serena at the beginning, I'm like, gosh, she's so judgy about her friends, like moving on. Like, why is she so judgy? And then she's so judgy about her sister, though her sister deserves a little judginess. And it's not until Ainsley says, you don't know, you can't be vulnerable. You don't know how to be vulnerable. And I was wondering how tricky that was to write, her not being vulnerable until she suddenly could.
You know, I am a planner. I'm not someone who writes by the seat of their pants. And for Serena Singh Flips the Script, to be honest, like to be writerly, I used Scrivener for the first time, which was just, it worked so well for me. And I guess when I'm thinking of like, I really do get down into the nitty gritty of like this 3-act structure and wanting like the meet cute and the climax and all that stuff. But then the character arc, my first agent, is that something that's really, really, she really, really nailed into me, because when I wrote the Matchmaker's list, I was having the main character, Raina, doing all sorts of things and saying all sorts of things. And she's like, well, this is not consistent. This does not follow the arc of her character of realizing of who she is and what she wants. And so with writing Serena Singh, for the first time, I really, really planned that out before writing. So I separated the chapters and what I thought it should be. And okay, where is Serena on her personal journey in this chapter? Okay, she's not yet realized that she's super judgmental and needs to calm down a little bit. So I had that in mind when writing each scene, and it worked really well for me.
And it's funny because those scenes can be, again, more writer talks. Those scenes can feel really static, right? When there's incremental change, when there's small change, but it never. And I think it's because, you know, we were along for this ride of her like trying to make friends. So it seemed like she was being really vulnerable. And meanwhile, she had this woman at work that she had incredible chemistry with, and she wouldn't go out for drinks with her. She was.
Yeah, for sure. Like at that point in the book, Serena just is thinking of someone to fill the time, to companionship, someone who she thinks is going to be like her, versus actually finding that connection.
Yeah, and it's powerful when she does. You, in your author's notes, you thank like your childhood friends. Are you still friends with your childhood friends? Are you all still pretty tight?
Yeah, I'm really, really lucky. I have a really good, like I grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is where I am right now. And I have this amazing group of girls from elementary school. And then I have a really tight knit of people from high school. And surprisingly, like 20 years later, we're all still really good friends. So yeah, they definitely have like influenced that. And it also made me feel very lonely as well when I moved away from Saskatoon, and I lived in a few different cities and I was meeting people, and it was just so rare to find that connection so quickly, because when you meet someone when you're young, you have years of classes and birthday parties and all these things to develop that bond. But when you're meeting someone as an adult, everyone's so busy, everyone already has their own people, their families. It's just so hard to like maintain and grow a really serious connection as an adult, I'm finding. So yeah, that's something I think we all trying to work on.
It's my mom. We'll start talking about our moms now, since the mom is such a big deal in this book. My mom is recently, and my mom is 75 years old. She's recently gotten in touch in the pandemic with this group of friends from high school, and they Zoom chat once a month. And she was saying to me, and I am just before we started talking, my best friend that I met in kindergarten, and then our friend that we met in high school, like we're making plans for our own Zoom chat. But anyway, my mom has said that you think that chemistry is about like just proximity and age, but it's not. You're friends with people because there's real chemistry, and that's another part of the book that I felt like you really nailed, is those two, Ainsley and Serena. It felt like a romance. It really did feel like a romance.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Look at this. I'm lucky to be one of those old friends from Saskatoon.
Oh, hi, Michelle.
You're so listening. Well, since we're talking about moms, we have to talk about Sandeep. Were you always planning on putting her point of view in the book?
No, that's something that my editor suggested later on. So in all my books, I kind of have these like flashback chapters to just kind of help how the heroine got where she is. And Carrie, my editor, suggested that having it from Sandeep's point of view would sort of help show Serena's flaws and sort of get out of her head and what she thinks and how she perceives the world.
And I thought that lent her, particularly in that first chunk, when she's being so judgy, made her so sympathetic. The way her mom saw her and longed for her daughters. I mean, it was really beautiful. Was that an easy point of view for you to work on, or was that harder?
I have a lot of strong women in my family, and we have a very like dynamic, almost combative, close relationship. So writing families is actually pretty natural to me. But yeah, the thing with Sandeep is that, everybody wants their children to be happy, right? But when your parents and your grandparents are from a completely different country, community, generation, their ideas of what makes us happy is just so different. So while they may have very, very good intentions for us, sometimes it's just like, well, no, that's not how it works anymore. That's not what I was raised to value. So yeah, I think it was important to show that Sandeep, she did have the best intentions, even if they didn't jive a lot of the time.
She has the best line for my money in the whole book, when she says, "You can love someone who has hurt you." And I just like it. I mean, first of all, damn it. Damn it. Now that you wrote that, no one else can write that. Oh, it's so good. But it was just it was kind of the idea, like, can we ever really know our parents, and can our parents ever really know us? I don't have the cultural background in the diaspora experience, but I know that the choices I have made in some ways make me a stranger to my mom, and the same goes. And you have that. I mean, it's incredibly universal, this aspect in the book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And just to clarify, my parents and grandparents have always been very, very supportive of me, and my career and trying to be an author and all that kind of thing. But
you did not.
But it wasn't always easy to grow up sort of trying to make them happy, but then also trying to do what I think would make me happy.
I forgot what I was going to say. It was there, and then it was. My mom came up to me one time. I think we were at a book signing, and my mom came up to me and she's like, "Molly, all these people here think that I am terrible to you." It's like, nobody thinks you're terrible.
My mom said the same thing, actually, because in my first book, the mom is kind of out of the picture, and she's a real pill. And my mom said, after she read it, the whole world is going to think I'm a bitch, Sonya. And I was like, no, it's okay.
They won't. So have you always wanted to be a writer? Like, how did you come into writing?
Yeah, I mean, I always was a big reader and creative writer. And then I have tried writing a few books over the years, but it wasn't until about 7 years ago that I had the idea for the Matchmakers list. And I was like, really, it wasn't just something that I started and then petered out. I had the whole thing in my head, and it just came out.
Oh, that's amazing. Those books are rare. Have you learned that yet? This is your third book.
Yeah, that one was the easiest to come up with.
And you have a Christmas book coming out.
I do, yeah. I haven't really announced it yet, but it is like it's up on the website, so I guess it's public. It's called A Holly Jolly Diwali, and it's coming out. It's sort of like a Diwali / Christmas book for, like, you don't have to be Christian to celebrate Christmas. I mean, Christmas is my favorite holiday, but then Diwali is also becoming this super mainstream cross-cultural holiday. So I thought I would write a book that kind of combined the two.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. When does that come out?
It comes out early October. So in time for Diwali, which I think is the first week of November this year.
So have the Grown Up Pose came out at the beginning of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So have you written 2 books in pandemic times?
No. So I also, I have a day job. And so my writing is, I write quite far ahead. So I think Serena Singh, I would have written 2 years ago. And
wow.
Yeah, or I think by the time it came out, it would be 2 years. And so Holly Jolly Diwali, I wrote mostly at the beginning of last year, I think. I'm losing track of years. This pandemic is it's sort of canceled an entire year for us.
It really has. Time has been tricky. So I've done a bunch of these interviews, and I always ask, there seem to be 2 kinds of authors right now: those who are able to put their head down and get a lot of work done in pandemic, and those who are just really struggling. Which one are you?
Up until about a month ago, I was the first. I was really lucky. I was kind of in this, I could work from home, super safe, didn't have anything going on. So I kind of was able to compartmentalize, I think, and turn off the news and sort of make time for writing. But with some family issues happening right now, I haven't written in a month. And I think that I've been very blessed with how I haven't been as affected by COVID as a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I just count my blessings that I've been able to be productive and be safe.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to read more of your books. I'm a fan. It is, as I said at the beginning, I think that, rom-coms, women's fiction, romance it's easy for a lot of readers to brush aside is not, not enough to it, right? They want something a little bit meatier. And these books have hit exactly those right notes, right? Of I'm laughing 1 minute and then I'm the next minute. And that's my favorite kind of read. So I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's life, I guess, for most of us.
Exactly. It can't all be sex club dates, right? Well, thank you so much for coming out and joining me. I look forward to your next books. Everybody else out there, stay warm, stay safe, wear a mask, read a book. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.